Specifically today, we focus on how it actually contributes to your net zero / decarbonization goals. Additional carbon impact is actually the energy use of your customers. It's not the only one, but it's mostly the energy use of your customers. You have the choice to choose products that have very low carbon and therefore adding less carbon to your embodied count. Now, we tend to say that the lowest possible carbon is a product that doesn't need to be manufactured again. They have amazing functionality, they are beautiful, they are durable, and they would have been wasted. When you choose one of our products, you would be only adding 200 grams of CO2, kilograms of CO2 per square meter to your embodied carbon.
Not to blow your trumpet for you, but I think you do bring a lot of very specific benefits to housing associations, so I can understand your USP. You do stand out as being a unique offering.
Decent home standards, guys, is about to change, and we hear that flooring is going to be included. So alternatively, a way also for the Princeton's case to be brought around is like, either way, this is coming your way, so you might as well just start testing and getting your head around. Thanks for joining. For the benefit of the recording, this is our third webinar. In August is our summer series of webinars, 50 minutes every Thursday. We talked about acoustics and air quality in the previous two, and you can find them in our website. But today it's about low carbon carpet tiles and how they don't only contribute to incredible benefits for your residents, but specifically today, we focus on how it actually contributes to your net zero / decarbonization goals. So before we jump into the carbon conversation, I just wanted to say that at Uplyfted, what we do is we provide a service of installation of carpet tiles. We are only focused in housing providers. And we believe that it's an amazing fit for purpose product because they are not only durable, beautiful, and sustainable, but also they are modular, which means that you can install them while either works are being carried out in a void property. It will not delay the void period. It can also be installed with occupied and furnished properties. So they are very flexible, and they are incredibly durable as well. So we are obviously very passionate about carpet tiles, but let me tell you today about the benefit of the carbon story of our products. Let's start by actually focusing briefly on a building carbon footprint. If we could divide the carbon of a building in embodied carbon and operational carbon. Operational carbon is the one that we've most been focused so far historically in the built environment, because it's basically the energy consumption of buildings. So your housing stock, the main operational carbon impact is actually the energy use of your customers. It's not the only one, but it's mostly the energy use of your customers. Now, when we look at the embodied carbon, then the carbon impact comes from when they were built, the transport of the materials, the manufacture obviously of the homes, but also on what are the materials that you put inside your properties. And here is where the story becomes very interesting. You have the choice to choose products that have very low carbon and therefore adding less carbon to your embodied count, if that makes sense. I'm going to move from here, but we can definitely come back and talk a bit more about these. But the point here is that I appreciate you may say our embodied carbon is quite stable because you already built your properties. However, choices that you make of what products you put inside will affect the embodied carbon. So now, before talking about our products, let me just also now move into the concept of product carbon footprint. This is probably more or less familiar, but it's fairly similar. We could also think of embodied and operational carbon from a product perspective. And in a product perspective, the carbon emission happens when you are capturing, extracting resources, when you're processing those raw materials, when you manufacture products, in the distribution, in the use, and the end of life. So a product will be constructed and used and then disposed of, and all those steps in the life cycle have a carbon impact. Now, we tend to say that the lowest possible carbon is a product that doesn't need to be manufactured again, and therefore you don't have to emit when you are extracting resources, processing, manufacturing the products. So if we now move to our products, David, as you were saying, our products are what we call like new carpet tiles. Therefore, they have been used, but they are like new. They are an amazing quality. They have amazing functionality. They are beautiful. They are durable, and they would have been wasted for no reason rather than just the first user needing or wanting to change them. Now, if you compare the carbon footprint, as we were talking about before, of like new carpet tiles, very new carpet tiles, and by the way, this is fairly low estimation of an average of the industry, is probably a bit lower, not too much lower, probably closer between 7 and 8 kilograms of CO2 per square meter. Now, when you choose one of our products, you would be only adding 200 grams of CO2, kilograms of CO2 per square meter to your embodied carbon. So the comparison between buying a new carpet tile and a like new carpet tile is that you are having a 96% reduction or even bigger for your embodied carbon. So you achieve all the benefits that carpet tiles bring to your housing stock and your residence: air quality, acoustics, heat retention, warmth and comfort. But also you're adding very little carbon to your embodied carbon. So we have been asking this question in these webinars, and we tend to ask these questions to all colleagues in housing providers when we have the chance, which is, we appreciate that adding flooring to your housing, your home standard is a challenge. Yet, what are the actions that you can take? What are those small steps that you can take from your role and your organization to start providing flooring? And potentially one argument to bring the business case in the organization is this carbon story, is that you don't only will decrease your operational carbon because your customers will use less energy because the flooring provides heat retention, but also these probably sometimes unknown or hidden benefit of the embodied carbon of your housing stock. How much you are able to contribute to keeping that embodied carbon low by choosing products with a very, very low carbon footprint, like our like new carpet tiles. Before I move to questions or more discussions, just a kind reminder that next Thursday, the 31st, is our last August webinar, and we're actually going to focus much more on David, your point about heat retention, leading to your customers paying less energy bills, apart from you being able to also measure less operational carbon in your housing stock.
I have a question which is just really about trying to understand your business. Where do the carpet tiles come from, and where are you based, and where do you supply from?
So let me just quickly answer the second one. We are based in the Wirral, just outside Liverpool. We supply from there, and we supply UK-wide. And our estimation of carbon footprint incorporates the distribution of these carpets to the housing stock. To your first question, Andy, where the carpets come from. So we partner with the manufacturers of these carpet tiles, and they have a way of getting back after that first use. These carpet tiles are the majority use. 50% of the market is in London and is it in corporate offices. The reason why the market has developed to carpet tiles into the corporate office is something that we can discuss at some point, but ultimately they provide similar benefits and values than traditional carpets. Now, using carpet tiles in residential has a great plus, which is actually they're super flexible and modular, as I was saying before. So, and they come from the UK market, and they've been used the first time, majority of the time in corporations, offices, sometimes in universities, sometimes in hospitality hotels, but the majority of the market in the UK comes from corporation. And just very quickly, if I may add, the manufacturers of these products give a warranty of 15 years, and they are used in average 5. There are some places in the country we can say they are used 7 years, but 50% of the market in London, 5 years average use in London. So these products end up in landfill in the UK, 8 million square meter approximately yearly after 5 years of use, when you have 10 years more to give. So we are super excited that we have developed partnerships with the bigger players of the industry to get an incredible steady supply of these used, what we like to call like new products. We sort in the wheel room, we clean them, and we make sure that only the best quality ones are going to be offered again. But good quality carpet tiles only use 5 years. There's a lot of those.
Okay.
David, any thoughts?
I've got a related question, but I'll let David go.
No. Carry on, Andy. You ask your questions, and then I've got a couple afterwards.
So I guess, again, kind of related to that, and I guess David's going to have the same sorts of challenges within his housing association in terms of at Settle, there's a number of us that have been, as I say, campaigning for flooring for some time, very much related to the point that David made first time round, which is about heat loss in a cost of living crisis. We are encountering far more people moving into our homes that don't have any furniture. We might well go back in a year later and discover they still don't have flooring, and that's we're committed to ensuring that people can make a home, live the life they want to live. What kind of size order works for you? What's an economical order? Because it's one of these things about the demand from our end. It might be that it's relatively small to start with. It might be that it's a bit up and down. How does that work for you as a business?
No, it's a great question. I see David Cutton nodding. Do you want to say something before I'm not trying to put you on the spotlight, but I saw you nodding, yeah. So
that'll teach you to nod.
Yes.
It's absolutely fine. It's just because I work in operations. We've got a lot of the machinery going on in the background, so I tend to be on mute. But sure, I don't mind taking it whatsoever. Realistically, we can work as small or as large as suits you. We're very flexible like that. We've run a number of pilots with housing associations. Kind of ideally, in any one day, we would ask if it's a 1 or a 2 bed to do a minimum of 2 bed properties. 3 or 4, we can do 1 a day. But again, we're very flexible with that. And then we do have a pricing structure dependent on kind of more long-term, more regular volumes. So we are incredibly flexible. We can go from the very small, pilot with you, learn, and then we can go to the very large, where we can provide obviously more competitive pricing at scale.
Just to build on what Dave said, for instance, we started with individual pilots with Raven Housing Trust. Then they picked certain customers that they identified they needed to help as soon as possible. But at the same time, in parallel, they are working on a tender, which we are aware. We have meetings with the procurement team. So they're looking into tendering and starting to bring flooring as part of their home standard, very similar to Bromford. So we can actually also support those strategies or choices to address the challenge. Raven chose some customers because there was a noise challenge, and obviously acoustics is a huge benefit of carpet tiles. So you may say we have certain challenges where noise is an issue. And Andy, if you're thinking about a business case internally, probably the organization, Settle, is spending a lot of money and time in solving some noise complaints. And if you look into the detail, the majority of noise complaints are actually related to daily living noises. So by adding carpet tiles, you will be addressing those noises challenges and probably reducing noise complaints and saving money on that time. So we have been building actually the business case to help housing providers to start in this journey, because we appreciate that you don't do it today. So you need to find a way to bring it into your regular budgets. So Andy, that was Raven. Bromford is even thinking of testing in new builds. We installed in Eastlight last week. Magenta's sorry?
CCHC, Asta.
CCHD, which are obviously 55 plus, so it's more for independent living of older members of the community. So the different organizations have taken different approaches, but in all of them has been about starting small, Andy. It's exactly what you're saying, because organizations also want to get their head around in how it affects a number of things. Not only is about testing us, we appreciate that. So we are very flexible.
Use third-party contractors because you are nationwide, but you are a smaller organization, or do you use your own teams of installers?
Yeah, so we've got a network of 50 plus contractors working throughout the UK, which gives us fantastic coverage. And in terms of going back to the pricing that you just alluded to there as well, we've heard some housing associations saying, I think it was for a 2-bed or similar, about 2,000 plus, where we're around the £650 mark for there.
Yeah,
and
they're slightly different.
Yeah, and if it gets damaged in between tenancies and that sort of thing, you change a couple of tiles rather than the entire room. That
was going to be my follow-up question. I mean, we have an internal ops team that are quite extensive and quite experienced in most trades works. Is there an opportunity to buy the product from yourself and install ourselves?
Yeah, there's certainly something like that we can look at. We understand that a lot of housing associations throughout the UK, they operate in very different manners. They have different wants and needs, and something that we've built in end to end is that flexibility to be able to work however your particular association needs to work. So yeah,
fully understanding the product itself, but are these laid generally direct to the flooring that exists in the property, or are they laid with some sort of further acoustic or insulation treatment beneath them?
Yeah, so what I'd say is, just quickly switching gears back to your previous point, I think
there was a couple of questions in
No, it's fine. I think we would prefer to do the maintenance on them ourselves, but however, if it's an absolute that you guys want to do it, we can be as flexible as that. They are actually currently laid using a low-tack adhesive. Now we are looking to improve our offer with kind of other attributes that make the whole supply and fit service more appealing, Agostina, for housing associations. I think that would be fair to say, but we just don't want to jump the gun. But we
appreciate that, because I mean, with the best will in the world, a carpet tile is what, 5 mil?
Well, what I'd say is,
it's actually higher. It's actually higher, David, and it's definitely carpet tiles have a thicker backing than traditional carpets, right? And therefore you don't need that underlay. And carpet tiles, you can get thin carpet tiles, but you can definitely get a 1 centimeter thick carpet tile. Right. So, and we do get the variation that is chosen in the market. So you don't. Another element of sustainability from these products is that you don't need underlays, and therefore you also have less cost and less waste afterwards to manage.
Yeah.
And sorry, go on, Dave.
No, I was just gonna say that we actually conducted a kind of sound test with Liverpool John Moores. So a lot of the stuff of what we spoke today in terms of making the business cases, even helping with processes and procedures internally, like the sound insulation test as well, and carpet tiles. It was understood that carpet tiles reduce sound transmission, wasn't it, Agostina? between the frequency that is most daily living noises that humans hear at. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
look,
acoustics of these products are very, very good, and yeah, they are very tested also when they are built.
not to blow your trumpet for you, but I think you do bring a lot of very specific benefits to housing associations, so I can understand your USP. You do stand out as being a unique offering. From a procurement perspective, are you on frameworks, or do you offer a bespoke service?
Unfortunately, not yet, David, and it's not
Okay.
out of our choice. It's basically mainly is because when we explored that, what happens is the majority of housing providers do not tender or do not participate in this type of procurement because you don't offer flooring as a standard.
No,
so there's
agreed,
a bit of a chicken and egg situation, which we would be delighted to participate in any framework and set up any conditions that you need, but we may actually ask for your guidance. What do you need, guys? Because we haven't seen it around.
No, that makes sense. What I do certainly see, and what we saw out of the energy efficiency or the energy crisis last year, was those residents that are struggling with heating and are struggling with furnishing their homes. I do see a massive opportunity.
Decent home standards, guys, is about to change, and we hear that flooring is going to be included. So alternatively, a way also for the Princeton's case to be brought around is like, either way, this is coming your way, so you might as well just start testing and getting your head around. Excellent.
I appreciate
Thank you very much, both of you. Have a lovely rest of the day.
Great time. Great.
Nice to meet
Thanks
you.
very much for it. Cheers.
Bye.
Take care.